Welcome to the home of Project Dream Mastery. Here at PDM, we are challenging the status quo of what it means to follow your dreams and how to unlock the power those dreams will bring to your life. The show experience will be unscripted, authentic, and transparent. So now, sit back, relax, and get inspired with your hosts, Lucas Johnson and Patryk Labuzek.
Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the Project Dream Mastery Show, where we help inspire you to follow your dreams, defy expectations, dream big, and love deeply. My name is Lucas P. Johnson, and I'm based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I am one of the two hosts here at PDM, and the other man behind the mic is Patryk Labuzek. Born in Poland and based out of Dublin, Ireland. Very unique background, so stay tuned for more. In today's episode, we will be focusing on, drumroll please, defining success for your future. So Patryk, what do you say? Why don't we jump right into this really kind of unique topic today?
Yeah, let's jump right in.
So the reason why we're kind of exposing this topic today is I was sitting on my couch, my usual position as everything's going on in the world right now. What else you do is watch a little bit of Netflix, maybe a little audiobook, whatever it is. I was sitting there and this quote came up and it was, success is becoming one's true best self, achieving one's potential. Now, when I think about success in my life, I like to think I live by that quote, but I think we all have a unique take on what success actually looks like in our lives. So Patty, what do you think success looks like for you in the long term, in the future, and even in the present?
Well, putting it simply, I think for me, success is being able to do freely what I love most. And I think that's a definition of success for me, like being able to write my blog, being able to do this right now instead of being stuck somewhere in an office, doing your usual work. So success for me is being able to do things that I love without other external things impacting it.
If you're looking at your life and you're digging deep into what you actually love, what would you say is your number one kind of component to your life that brings the ultimate happiness, besides for family and friends and so forth? If you had to pick one thing, what would it be?
Yeah, that'd be very difficult. But if I was supposed to, on top of my head, I'd say travel definitely. It makes me feel the happiest when I'm on the road, going into the unknown most of the times. For me, going back to the success, that's exactly what it is. So success is doing what I love. I love traveling, going somewhere. It doesn't matter if it's abroad or, during the pandemic right now of COVID-19, where we're stuck in our countries, going on a day trip to maybe some village or city we haven't seen before. To me, that's it makes me happy. To me, that's success, being able to do that, especially knowing that a lot of people don't have the opportunities. They might be sick. They might have to care for their family, especially now during these difficult times. So, travel definitely.
So travel. I knew that was coming. I saw that. That was something I knew was coming. AlwaysSomewhere.net. Patty has got an amazing blog over there. We've talked about it in the previous episodes. And if you have not yet, please tune into those. These are kind of sequential in a way. They make you think about different topics, kind of different applications in your life. And as Patty was talking about travel in his life, if you're really looking at our topic today is defining success for your future, you have to think about what you want to, or where you want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Do you see yourself behind a desk or in a cubicle? Do you see yourself traveling the world? Do you find yourself in a position where, income is the most important aspect of your life? I think these are all components of defining success for yourself. And Patty, I think the travel component, man, that one piece is just incredible, because that allows you to kind of get immersed into all these different cultures and backgrounds that we've discussed in our previous episodes. It's just really cool to see how in other countries, they have different takes on it as well.
Yeah, exactly. But also, travel is a very broad topic in itself. So I'd say, by saying travel makes me happy, I think it's a lot of other little factors, or not so little after all, but factors that kind of come together to make the definition of traveling, which is different cultures, different people you meet on the way, seeing different things, and most importantly, learning new things about yourself when you're being challenged, when you're being put outside of your, four walls, and you're able to kind of come out of your comfort zones. So put together, I think that's what travel really is. And I don't know, maybe me and you, maybe we just like to challenge ourselves every day, and that's why we're happy. That's for sure.
Patty and I, again, we've traveled all over the world and in various countries. Him more so than me, but I think kind of bringing those together is we really love to travel. And if we could right now, that's where we would be. We'd be like digital nomads sitting on a beach right now, or Patty would be Aquaman and he'd be enjoying himself there. But I think sometimes Patty, let me know if this applies to you. Is applicable, at least in your life? Sometimes we get in over our heads. What matters to us is not always what matters to others. And we kind of take that approach as we're not always doing things that are best for ourselves, but sometimes we're doing what's best for other people.
Yeah, that's completely true. I think that's, everybody could relate to this, honestly, because that's what we talked about in the last episode. It's other people's defining expectations upon us. So that may be your family, your friends, your teachers, a lot of different people that we're trying to please every day. Our bosses from, our work. So, yeah.
I think you already said this, brings it back to our last episode. Things are not always as beautiful as you always think.
That's right.
We all have our own definition of what success means. For me, I like to think that I've been successful so far in my life, and that's kind of a big saying, something for me to really come out and say that, because my life's just getting started. I really think, I don't know what I want with my life. Heck, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. Simple as that.
I completely relate to this, Lucas. That's why how I see success is a little, I break success into small stages of my life. So what success was for me when I was 16, having my first car, that was a big success. That was a major factor, having my own little car that barely moved on the road, had to be pushed up the hill because of its little engine lack of power, to, being 18 and, success was being able to travel to my first country outside of Europe. And then, starting uni, success was getting the grades I needed. And then moving on, going to Australia, then going and being in Australia, I was meeting a great group of friends, so at these different stages in my life, I felt like I achieved some kind of success. But, success is so broad in itself that, I can't say that I feel like I'm successful right now because I'm happy, I'm competent with what I'm doing. But this might not be the case in, let's say, 6 months, something new is gonna come up and we're gonna try, each one of us, whatever might be a new challenge on your way. You will feel you're successful once you achieve something extra. So it's pushing that a little bit, further and further. And, in the end, I think, success is those little stages and building it up and then saying, okay, I'm successful, but it's not necessarily true that you're going to be successful in a year's time or 2 years' time.
I'm going to jump in right there, because that right there, I think, is really a kind of a good point for if you're listening right now. Things right now are not always going to be the same next year. So your definition of success right now in this moment is going to be fairly different next year. And that's because, there's different obstacles and challenges that you really have come into your life. Maybe it's a new job. Maybe it's meeting new people, making new friends, finding a group, changing locations, moving to a new country, moving to a new state, and, and so forth. You can just keep on going and going and going. And there's all those other extraordinary circumstances that come in. Maybe you lost a loved one or something along those lines. Your definition of success is slowly going to come back to, I think, what that quote said: success is becoming one's true best self, achieving one's potential. Because at one point in your life, you think you're going to be super successful, or you are super successful. But a great role model of mine, and I'm not going to say their name, just out of respect, but they said that I want to be the best version I can be in 10 years, the best version of myself that I can be in 10 years. And when I look at myself, who's my role model in 10 years? That's the person that's my role model, because you never know where you are in your life. In 10 years from now, you're only as good as the decisions you made now to be successful. So truly going back to what defines success for, let's say for me, and whenever I was probably, I think I was 12 years old, I started my first kind of web development company. I thought it was really cool. I was in HTML, CSS, PHP, like all that good stuff, just all that jazz. I was young. I was, I felt like I was on top of the world. I was doing stuff that other people my age weren't. And I genuinely thought that was going to help me become successful in my future. But, 16 came around. I looked at that and I said, oh, heck, I don't want to do that. That's too much work. That's too much coding. I don't want to sit there on a computer all day and type away. Like, that's not what I see myself doing. So my differential there is what my success looked like when I was 12 to 16, or my 16 to 21, or my 21 to 25, and so forth, is going to be completely different based off of the factors that have been played on you. I'll pass it back to Patty to add anything to that.
Yeah. Just like you're saying, as I was explaining earlier, is those little stages, and I like to call them atomic stages of success. I made that up right now, but it makes perfect sense. Something atomic is something microscopic that you can't really see, but adds up in the long run. So, those little atomic successes that you go through, your entire life, and you achieve them, you tick them off your box as a little bucket list. They kind of add to the whole of being successful. But as you mentioned, being successful right now, it's different than being successful in a year's or 2 years time. But then again, you also have to look at, in between all those little atomic successes that we achieve, there's always this one bigger goal that we set upon ourselves. I don't know about you, Lucas, but for me, for instance, that goal is, what I said kind of in at the start of this, when you asked me about defining success, it's being able to work freely on things that I love without any external, factors influencing me or pushing me away from what I really love to do. So ideally, I'd love to continue with what we're doing right now, continue with my blog, all that, bring certain source of income, just enough to survive, and maybe being able to live in a place like Bali, for instance. I'm not saying sitting on the beach the entire day or in a jacuzzi or anything like that, but living somewhere that you're content with where you are at the given time. And right now I feel like Bali is probably one of my favorite places on earth, outside of Australia, of course. That I feel like that's what I'd like. That's what success is to me. How about yourself, Lucas? What's your kind of bigger goal towards being successful?
And you were truly happy too when Patty's in his natural habitat, and I like to say that, out in the wild, Patty out in the wild. He does things that he normally wouldn't do. I mean, whenever we get together, most of the time we're just going on adventures. That's the kind of friendship we have. We are so close. I mean, we're best friends. We are best friends. We're like brothers.
We are, yeah.
And the thing is, when it comes down to it, it's like you can have a different kind of personality, both personally and professionally, but you got to find that happy medium that I guess brings you back to, don't fake it till you make it. You don't have to fake it till you make it, because people want to see the authentic you. People want to see you as the person that you truly are. They want to see you as a transparent, individual. They want to be able to have a conversation with you and say, oh yeah, he's being legit. All right, cool. That's where we are. And kind of our point in life is people have gotten to that point where they're not necessarily being authentic. Don't fake it till you make it. Be you, define your own success. Go out and have fun and enjoy your life, and make those mistakes. Have regrets. That's why we only have one life. That YOLO phrase that came out of nowhere, it's still alive somehow. That phrase is still alive. YOLO, you only live once. Go out, do something crazy, have fun. I'm not saying jump off a cliff or anything crazy. I'm saying, if you have that crush, don't let it just be a crush. Go up and have a conversation with that person. And I like to think that every time that we have these episodes, that we actually take away something from them as well, because they're unscripted. So we're having this conversation, we're having a discussion, and we hope that it's applicable to you. We hope that you're able to get some takeaways from our content here. But the best part about it is all of this is new to us, but it's also it's part of the journey. It's part of, us coming out and figure out who we are, as well as trying to figure out who we can become. So defining our success in my life, I guess pivoting back to the question you asked, what does success look like in my life?
Yeah, what's the kind of the big goal that would make you feel that you're successful?
So I like to live life by 3 components: faith, family, and friends. I think that if I could encompass all of those into my life on a daily basis, I've been successful. If I can get up every morning and, thank God that I'm alive, and every night say my prayers and wish for, pray for another day, and my family being healthy, them being happy, then I'm happy. And my friends, they bring joy and happiness to me. I don't necessarily kind of live off the energy and that happiness that they have, but when I'm with them, make some incredible memories. And for me, I guess going back to the travel part too, is I love traveling. I don't know anyone that really doesn't love to travel to new destinations. There are people that they just don't like to travel. Don't get me wrong, but people like seeing new things. They're like, okay, that's something new. Let's try it out. That's like a new food. Oh, maybe I don't want to eat it, but it's new. It's something that we can't necessarily relate with, but we develop a new memory. So going back to travel, if I could truly be successful, I would be able to enjoy every single second of my life doing the things I love: faith, family, friends, traveling the world, and being able to kind of make an income and be able to enjoy every single second of that day. So that's me. I don't know what makes you. And I guess, Patty, we can kind of take an approach here of looking at it like this. Ask yourself right now these questions. Where am I right now in my life? Am I happy? Am I my definition of success, is it truly success? Is it that, going back to that point, success is becoming one's true best self, achieving one's potential? Are you really achieving your potential? Do you truly feel like you are in the best point in your life, best circumstances? Are you doing everything you can to better yourself? If you're not, let's be real. You're not necessarily being successful. But hey, who am I to judge? I have my own definition of success, and I'm opening up to a new way of thinking every single day, because that's what we have to do as humans. Patty, what do you think about kind of, say, for example, someone works a job at a fast food chain, and then you have someone that works a white collar job. They're in a business professional of some sorts. Okay. Who's to define success in those circumstances? Who's to define the success for those two different groups? What do you think?
People judge us at every aspect of our lives with everything that we do. Like we said earlier, our parents, teachers, friends, acquaintances, colleagues, your bosses, and all that kind of stuff. So for a person who works in the white collar, the person who works in a fast food restaurant might not entirely be successful in their personal view. But that's it. Like each one of us has a different perspective on success. What we talked about, your perspective is a little bit different to mine. There are some similarities, but yet, there's still different views on how we see success. So it's the same in that 2 cases that you mentioned, so for the person working in the fast food chain, it might not be their dream job, but maybe they're fulfilled with their family. They have kids, their family is healthy. They get to, see them very often. They don't have financial problems, whereas the person in the white collar might be in debt. They might have a family member who is critically sick in a hospital, things like that. So even though it looks like that person, the white collar, has, better job, better paid job, better maybe, opportunities at the job, doesn't certainly mean that he is successful. We might see him as being successful, but is he successful? That's up to him to define for himself.
That's a great point. I think that we have kind of stumbled upon something really great right there. We have two different, similar views, but two different perspectives. That person that's in the white collar, is a white collar job. He's a business professional of some sort. He could be loving life. He could be doing everything right. Could have someone at the fast food chain working, loving life, doing things great. He's enjoying it. That's his definition of success. You stumble upon how people live their lives and you judge them. I'm not saying you, Patty. I'm saying that we, as a group, we as a collective, we judge people and we have that unconscious bias. I wish we didn't. But for some reason, if someone is different, acts different, looks different, people have a perspective. They may not always make it known, but they may have a bias. They may look at different situations and just, wow, that's, I guess, going back to success. We have biases on what success looks like in our lives. I necessarily wouldn't want to work at a fast food chain, but I could be happy. I could be successful. And it's all about defining those micro goals, those little goals that define each day. Was I able to get up in the morning? Was I able to make my bed? Was I able to, I kind of just stumble upon different goals in your life that make you happy. And at the end of the day, did I complete them? For me, Patty, I don't know about you, but for me, I get up every morning, I make my bed, and that is check, done. I have already completed my first goal of the day. I am now happy. I can go to bed. I got a bed that's made. I got all my fancy little pillows on there. Did I say that right? Pillows.
Yeah. Well, Lucas, what you're saying there, I think that goes I was recently reading a book. It's called Atomic Habits. Highly recommend that to everyone. It's a great book. Gives you a very good perspective on how habits shape our lives, or how we can come up with new habits for ourselves that will shape our life in a better or worse way, depending what these habits may be. And what you're saying there kind of relates to the chapter I read in the book just recently about you get up, you make your bed, and you feel like, man, I did it. I'm happy. I did it. I can move on to the next step, to the next thing on my list to do, and for us people, it's important, or our lives have been always structured in a certain way, and that's been brought up through school. You wake up at 7, you eat your breakfast, you leave for school at 8, all that kind of stuff. You do your math, you do your history, you do English, all that kind of stuff. It has a set time of the day. You have to complete a certain tasks in order to move forward. So our life is very structured. It's like kind of a timetable, and we get used to it very easily. And so we want to see ourselves pushing that. I see it as a kind of a load bar, like you're at 0 when you wake up in the morning, and then when you go to bed, you're at 100, and you want to get as close as completing all these tasks, get into your 100. And the closer you are, you feel fulfillment. I don't know if you get this, but I certainly do. That when I make a list for myself of the things I have to do, and there's a lot of other things that come up during the day that have to be done as well, ticking them off one by one makes you kind of happier that you get it on and over with, whether that's even doing the dishes or something that's very enjoyable to you, like doing our podcast episode, or playing a video game, or watching Netflix or something like that. It's kind of that little tick beside the task that you just completed makes you push yourself forward to reaching that 100%. And
Patty,
it's those little things, those atomic habits that we do. They kind of shape, they shape who we become in a sense, and also they shape how we see our success. Do
you find yourself though, kind of sitting there and you're ticking the boxes, but it's just another checkbox? Do you ever find yourself doing that? Because I've been there. That's why I'm asking. You just, for example, today, I'll just kind of give a brief context to that. I was going through, and I didn't sleep very well last night. I can be authentic and tell you that I didn't sleep very well. Probably got 2.5 hours of sleep last night. I still have a personality when I get very little sleep, but I got up in the morning. I have a very set regiment, very set routine, just because if I like to have, especially when you start something, you like to kind of get yourself started. I think I told you about, I got a nutritionist and all that stuff. So I have all these kind of things I have to check off, the check boxes for the day. Get up this morning. I look at the clock. I'm like, oh gosh, I need to go to bed. I need to go back to bed. But no, can't do that. I got to be up before 10 a.m. I actually got to be up before 9 a.m. That's kind of just the way, 8 a.m. preferably, but got to be up before 10. I was up 9 a.m. I look at the clock again. I go, oh man, I need to get back to bed. I'm miserable. Going through. Okay. Get up. Make my bed. Check. Today's Monday. Got to do my weigh-in. Check. Done. Got to do my measurements. Check. Done. Make my breakfast. Check. Done. Okay. See how there's no emotion attached to that? I found myself at the point where we're recording this episode and I look at my day and I think, okay, series of check marks, a series of, your sprints, we're supposed to be running a marathon, not a sprint, but your little sprints for the day. I got to this episode, as we're getting ready to record this, and I sat down and I go, man, these last 3 episodes are going to be so much better than today's episode. They're going to be so much better than our next episode or 2. When you start putting those kind of, bringing those all together and you start really allowing kind of your fear and your negative thoughts come into play, you define your day. Going back to the question I asked you, Patty, have you ever been there and you had those little check marks, those little check boxes complete for the day and just felt like, okay, it's another thing. That's another thing to do today.
Yeah, completely. Completely. I've been there. I feel like all of us have been there at some point of our lives, or maybe we are there right now. Just ticking off those boxes, doing this, doing that, and your weeks pass. They turn into months, they turn into years, and we're kind of losing the precious time that's very limited. So, it's worth sitting down sometime and thinking about the priorities in your life. It's thinking about, do I need to do this task right now? What will make me happy? Rather than waking up 10 minutes earlier just to, run to your car to go somewhere. Maybe it's for just, staying in bed for 5 minutes longer. And this is going to give you, this sense of fulfillment again, that, oh man, I'm happy. I'm happy that I did that. You have energy to go to the next check on your list. But, I definitely was there, going back to your question. I definitely was there where I was just ticking those boxes, going through the day, doing it one by one, until I came upon this book, The Atomic Habits, some time ago. And the author explains very, very well that, we make little habits for ourselves, those atomic little habits. We tick them off one by one. But it's important that we reward ourselves, or we, by completing a certain task, we give ourselves a little something that's going to make us happy. So for instance, after I make my bed or wake up 5 minutes early, I know I have those 5 minutes extra to make a good cup of coffee. And I love a good cup of coffee.
Joe.
I definitely love a good cup of coffee. I enjoy the smell of coffee in the morning, the taste of it, a strong espresso.
Patty loves his coffee. He loves it. I'm sorry. I have to jump in. Patty, he gets coffee every time we go to a different country. The first thing is, we need to get coffee. Okay, let's find a good coffee shop, Patty.
That's right. And, it's knowing what you like to do, knowing what makes you happy, and putting on those little happy times in between our mundane tasks kind of gives us, I don't know, a sense of hope. I guess a sense of we're doing something right.
I like that you kind of define micro, I don't even know what they call them. Micro goals, micro happiness check marks. Like I don't actually know what they call it. I'm sure that there's actually a term for this. I'm sure someone has termed this. Yeah. I mean, but you look at the things that are going to make you happy. And I think that's really great. I don't think I know. That's awesome. Like if you can find a way to be happy. And Patty, I think me and you have pretty similar, I was going to say personalities, more of kind of this way we live our lives. We don't look at the negatives. I mean, hell, everyone has those moments where all those negative thoughts come in.
Completely. Yeah.
That happens. But kind of going back to your topic is not the topic, but your book, Atomic Habits. We find ourselves kind of in positions that we don't always want to be in. We don't. Defining success for ourselves is not something we truly kind of understand until we're maybe 14 to 16 in that range, where you have to start deciding what you're going to do for your future. Where you have to decide in your primary education days, are you going to get good grades and, go to college in those year 1 through 4, freshman through senior year of high school. I don't similar in Europe.
Yeah.
You get these grades and someone assigns a GPA to you. Assigning a GPA to someone is, okay, I get it. You gotta figure out who's going to go to these schools. I get it. I understand. I completely understand. I went to Penn State, and you went to a highly prestigious school in Ireland. I don't know necessarily if I can say I learned a ton in my college days, but I can say that I've made some incredible memories. I've made some really, really amazing friends, and I've built lifelong connections that are going to help me for the rest of my life. Lifelong, that's, term, lifelong. Defining success for your future. Primary education days, year 1 through 4. That's where we kind of been engraved. I mean, even going back before that, you play sports, or if you're in karate, you have goals. You have to hit those, or you're not going to go to the next level. You're not going to make it. Okay, cool. You're not going to get promoted to the next level. Okay, that's understandable. But you really got to define yourself by the actions you take to better yourself and better your community and better your life. The people around you are just as important. Don't let success be the thing that puts a wedge between you and the people. Because when you let that happen, man, you are missing out on so much value, so many connections, and you are missing out on the best times of your life. Patty, if I sat in my dorm, it wasn't really a dorm whenever I was in Australia. If I would have sat in my apartment and never left, you know what would have never happened? Me and you would have never became best friends. We would have never became brothers.
No, never. And that's exactly what I was just thinking about before you even mentioned that, we might have a goal, a certain, perspective of our success, which might be getting the best grades in our degree. That's great. You do you, get those grades. But I feel like sitting there every day for X amount of hours, studying, and yes, it's important. Education is very important, and there's no denying that. It's important, but what's more important, I feel like, is being able to balance all those aspects in our life. So balancing, reaching our full potential, but at the same time, not missing out on those very important aspects of our lives, which are friendships, which are extracurricular activities. They're all at the end, they define who we are, and maybe they don't seem like they're pushing you towards your perspective of success. But I feel like in the end, things tie around anyway, and something that you might not see to be of any use right now might come very useful in the near future. Or the person that you meet might end up being your boss. Having a good contact with a person is definitely of value to you later on in your life, but you just never know. So doing extra stuff, going outside of your boundaries, going outside of your comfort zone, tackling new challenges, and just enjoying yourself from time to time is definitely worth it.
That's important. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy everything that you're doing.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I would like to add there that maybe in your definition of success, job isn't really what defines it. So, it might be just as well family, or it might be moving abroad to a particular country that you loved, and it doesn't matter. So, for instance, oh man, I want to move to USA. Great. If you can achieve that, but you still work in a fast food restaurant, or you work as a factory worker or something that, maybe you have the degree, but you're not using it right now, but still you're happy because you achieved something that you wanted, So it's again, looking at the perspective of each of our successes, and they're all different.
God, I love this show. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And the reason why, Patty, is because there's so many things that just come out of nowhere. Just so many things. I mean,
it's a big brainstorm, isn't it?
We talk about random stuff that relates back to a topic based off experience. Different perspectives, different ideas of what success means. And I love every single idea, every single understanding, every single definition of what success is. But when we go back to it, success is becoming one's true best self, achieving one's potential. And I didn't say that. That is a quote from someone else. Just let's clarify. That is someone else's quote. Success is becoming one's true best self, achieving one's potential. If you are becoming one's true best self, you have now done what makes you happy, what makes you, and your understanding what success is. You're becoming your one's true best self. Achieving one's potential. That's the other component. Are you sitting at home on being a couch potato? Right now, yes. Are you working every single day, paying the bills, all that stuff that I guess you have to do? Cool. Yeah, cool. You're achieving one's potential. Cool. But again, it all comes down to how you define it. So I think there's a lot we could really go into. And this is one of those topics that I'm now just kind of really starting to understand that there's some PC involved, being politically correct. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. There's some kind of form of that within this topic. And those are the topics that can become a little bit overwhelming. But at the end of the day, you define your success. You have to do the things that are going to make you happy. They're going to allow you to fulfill your one's true best potential, your one's true potential. So bringing it back and kind of going to close with this. Patty said it best. Things are not as beautiful as you always think. Every single episode that we will ever do is going to relate that. Things are not as beautiful as you always think. You may look at someone's success and think they are having the best time of their life. They're doing everything perfect. They got that giant house, that boat, that nice car. They got tons of cash. Is their family life good? Do they have a lot of friends to go out on, drive those cars with, or ride, go on the boat, do all that? Do they ever go to parties? Do they ever get to do things that are actually going to make them happy outside of those materialistic things? Things are not as beautiful as you always think. Remember that. Success is what you define it to be, but always remember that you are worthy of whatever you decide to do. And Patty and I, we love you. We are so happy that you joined us today on this kind of politically correct, kind of not politically correct topic, but we're so excited that you joined us. And we really, really do wish that you join us on the next episode. Please go ahead and subscribe to this podcast, Project Dream Mastery, and we will see you on next week's topic. Why don't you do more? It's going to be really great. So that said, we hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode to come.